Good day, and you're welcome to another special edition of the National Agenda, your go-to political show where we discuss all the pressing national issues. Yes, today we have a pressing national issue to discuss. Martin Kpebu versus the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We know all the matters that have risen as a result of Martin Kpebu's, push for the removal of the Special Prosecutor. I mean, he believes that he's been inconsistent with regards to performing his duties as a special prosecutor for this great country. Today, I have in the studios with me two very important personalities to help me discuss and delve deep into the matters that relate with the Office of the Special Prosecutor versus Martin Kpebu, lawyer Martin Kpebu. But stick and stay with us. My name is Samuel Fobi-Banfo, and this is the National Agenda. Thank you for sticking and staying with us. We are back to discuss the issue I stated earlier. And so let me go straight to introduce my guest in the studio. And so sitting next to me is Nazil Said. It's good to have you in the studio one more time, Nazil.
Nice being here.
My followers always enjoy you whenever you're on the show. We have delved into this matter in another angle. Today we are back again to discuss it further. So hopefully. The other guest in the studio is a political commentator. And let me give you the opportunity to introduce yourself.
Yes.
So that my guest would get to know you more.
In fact, Mr. Banfo, it's a delight to be here this very day. My name is Odwe Bright Soa. Yes, and as you said, political commentator is what I do.
All right. Yeah. So you heard from them. So let me go straight to you, Odwe. Your initial comments, your initial concerns on whatever is happening. We've seen Martin Kpebu push for the removal of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and we've seen matters that have risen as a result of that. What are your initial comments?
Mr. Steve, my initial comments on this particular matter of lawyer Martin Kpebu and the Office of the Special Prosecutor would be that we, as a country, have institutions that perform different roles. One of such institutions is the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And as we know, the duty of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, as at 2018 when the office was established, is to prosecute politically exposed persons where there is suspicion of corruption and make sure that to a very large extent some recoveries are done where there is legal grounds so to do. And so in doing so, we have to make sure that any matter that comes up around this office and its operation must be a discussion that we have, making sure that we don't deviate from what the office was set up to do, and make sure that we look at that to inform the discussions that we have. Because so far, the discussions, as I've listened to many of the commentators and since this issue broke out, has been one that has been more sensational, more emotional, and deviating from making sure that we look at real facts of the matter to inform very right-thinking discussions on this particular issue. And that is why I would want to say that even as we get into the substantives of this particular matter, we look at the office, what it is set out to do, and juxtapose it with the outstands and be able to make a forward march on this particular matter.
All right, thank you so much.
That's what's up.
Thank you so much, Soa.
Yes.
Nazil, your initial comment. We have followed the story keenly. We've heard Martin Kpebu push for the removal of the special prosecutor. I know others believe that it is uncalled for. There are also certain individuals or certain fraternity who believe that this is in the right direction, especially on the fact that he claims that the OSP deliberately allowed the former finance minister to move out of the country, especially looking at the fact that he had a lot on his neck that could have stopped him from moving out. What are your initial comments to all these assertions?
We thank you very much for the opportunity. As I do always, I'll extend greetings to the 35 million well-meaning Ghanaians Ofobi, it is important that we look at this matter holistically. A lot of people have made a lot of suggestions as to the efficiency of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And in the past week in Parliament, I'm sure you saw the arguments from both sides.
Certainly.
I mean, prior to the promulgation of the Act 959 that established the Office of the Special Prosecutor, many argued that it has its foundational elements not grounded in law, that no part of our constitution gives a space for such an independent body to be established. As such, it was very important that we lay the facts right, that some of the responsibilities of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice was moved to
the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Give them that jurisprudence to be able to function as an independent state body, to only function in regards to corruption-related activities. And there was consensus on both sides, regardless of the arguments back then by Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu. The resolution was that it is being painted in the media that they, the minority as of that time, had been meddling with corrupt activities. As a matter of fact, were opposing the establishment of such an office. And as such, Haruna Idrisu, current Minister for Education, made a very remarkable statement in Parliament that, knowing very well that that government of the day were not angels, and that for the administration that they had served in, he believed that if anybody has even conducted himself inappropriately or has been corrupt, he believes that that person must be taken on. So based on that premise alone, he is going to lead the charge to accept
the establishment
of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. 8 or 9 years down the line, have we seen the efficiency of this office? Have we seen acts of corruption being successfully prosecuted? That is a question that I'll leave for Ghanaians. I saw the OSP blowing his own horns in the past week, publishing a number of successes he has chopped over the years. But I still say I'll leave the matter in the court of public opinion. Because if evidently we have an understanding of the successes he has chopped, the very people with whom the sovereignty of this country lies would have come out to defend the work and office that you hold. So as I said, I'll leave that in the court of public opinion. All right,
so that's fine. So let me get back to you. I have listened to the debate in Parliament in relation to this particular issue. So for instance, we heard the current majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, state emphatically that the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor goes against Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution of the country. And he believes that it was, even the office itself as it stands now, has not been consistent with performance of its duty. It has not served the intended purpose that it is expected to. And then again, I've also listened to the Honorable Abu Jinapo, MP for Damongo, and the former deputy
Lance Minister.
Yes, he was the lance
Deputy
minister
Chief of Staff.
and then deputy chief of staff.
Eventually lance
And I've listened to him where he is also stating that the intention for the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor was a noble one. And he stated emphatically, just like he said, that it was for unraveling prosecution and investigating corruption. But it looks as though it's a parliamentary banter, and yet we don't see the way forward. From where you stand, does it look like, yes, indeed, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is fit for the job? Or is this a political game that politicians were playing with us then and then even now?
Okay, so Mr. Steve, I wouldn't say...
You keep saying Steve. I'm Samuel.
Pardon me, Mr. Samuel.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the office hasn't lived up to its mandate. As I'm saying, why was the office set in the first place?
Yeah.
And it was to make sure that public officials or politically exposed persons who, one way or the other, are found to have meddled in corrupt or corruption-related activities are investigated.
But has that happened? Because all we see happening is the arrest of certain state individuals and people who some time ago were entrusted and were given some things of the state to handle. we have not gotten to the end of any of these cases.
Mr. Samuel, you see, this view that you are expressing is a view that is held by a wide majority of the Ghanaian populace who have an eye on this office.
Okay.
And the reason why I think, of course, I would first of all like to say that it is a legitimate concern to express, but I don't think that it is timely, because we are talking about an office that was set just a few years ago, 8 or so, close.
But
to
8 years is enough
to a
for us to have seen a lot of impact made.
No, under the assumption that it's going to be the fight against corruption is going to be an easy one. Certainly, the fight against corruption won't be an easy one, because the corrupt would not sit down and watch an office drag their name down into the mud, or drag their name down into guilt when it comes to corruption. And so the persons who are going to be accused, as we have seen in all the cases that have panned out since the office was established, are doing all they can to be able to hinder the smooth flow of the duties or performance of the duties of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And we have seen it. Let's take, for instance, this case about Mr. Ken Oforiatta. I mean, the legal tussle, the technicalities, the fact that, as we are told, that there is intelligence that suggests that even the former finance minister is trying his best to acquire citizenship of the United States of America or another country. That further deepens the difficulty.
But that is actually where like people have stated that it was just wrong for other state institutions to have allowed the former minister travel out of the country. Even the special prosecutor himself, Kese Jaben, has stated clearly that look, other state institutions did not help him when it comes to the issue with the Honorable Ken.
No, but to what extent? Because lawyer Martin Kpebu is on record to have said that his inquiry at, for instance, the BNI has shown that the Office of the Special Prosecutor never made an attempt to seek the assistance of that office or that outfit.
So it was all lies.
Well, I mean, as far as the facts of the matter are concerned, I would say that it didn't really reflect the facts of the matter. Because if they did, then we should have seen that at least that collaboration would have helped the Office of the Special Prosecutor attain the aim that it set out to attain. You get it? So to the extent that it didn't do that, I don't think that it will be fair to say that I mean, officers or the institutions of the state didn't help the office to perform its duties. You get the point? So frankly, if you were to, for instance, again, take the fact that some are saying that the finance minister didn't even have the rights to even go out in the first place. I mean, every Ghanaian citizen has the right to move out and about. Okay. And so to the extent that in performance of that right or in exercising that right, no law is broken or breaking, nobody can say that that performance is an illegal one. So if any office or any institution of state finds the performance of that duty as a breach of any rule or any law in Ghana, that office should go through the right process and make sure that it stops that individual from so doing. You get it? So to the extent that the Office of the Special Prosecutor didn't deploy all these legally allowed mechanisms to stop
then he cannot blame them.
He cannot blame
them for I get you. Nazo, quickly, lawyer Martin Kpebu actually believes that the OSP is intimidating him from speaking out, especially against him on what he believes as the imperformance of, if there's any word like that, he failing to perform his duty as the special prosecutor. Do you think this is a valid concern?
Personally, I have not listened anywhere to lawyer Martin Luther Kpebu on the correspondence that he feels intimidated, because if anybody in this country would be intimidated, it wouldn't be Martin Kpebu. And he has made it clear that he would never relent in his quest to make sure that whatever he seeks to achieve is achieved. He only has asserted that it is only an abuse of office, an abuse of power, that he sees the Office of the Special Prosecutor dishing out and just showing him his power in the Office of the Special Prosecutor. However, he is never relenting in his quest to achieve whatever
Certainly.
he has to achieve. Because if in any case, he coming to your premise and you brandishing military officers who are not supposed to be at post over there is something that should intimidate
I was going to go to that, because that is where I understand that he granted an interview with some media houses, and as a result of that, when he had finished and was returning to assist the OSP carry out certain investigations, that exchange happened between himself and some military officers, and that I believe was uncalled for. Now, let me even ask: was the presence of the military at the office of the Special Prosecutor right in the first place?
This is a matter that Honorable Muntaka himself will have to come and answer, Minister for the Interior. But for what we know and the common knowledge, the Ghana Armed Forces plays no role in internal security.
Exactly.
So when you go to the office of the NIB, you go to National Security, Ghana Police Service, unless there are joint task forces, there's no way you see a military officer.
And one worrying thing is that we understand that these military officers did not have name tags. Their name tags were removed.
That is unfortunate.
It raises a lot of eyebrows.
That is the unfortunate part of it. And if you remember in the earliest part of this year, the Honorable Minister for the Interior, Honorable Muntaka, also came out to make us know that military officers that were initially out there guarding certain people, both private and public, have all been sent back to base. So it cannot be the case that he's being guarded by these military officers. So their presence there, they could have been on an assignment or anything, but I cannot speak to those facts. I'm sure the Minister for the Interior will come and then speak to those issues. But as I was saying, if anybody is going to be intimidated by anybody in this country, it's not going to be Martin Kpebu. And from the actions and the commentary we have heard, is obviously the Office of the Special Prosecutor who feels intimidated by the actions of Martin Kpebu, hence calling him to assist him to investigate matters of corruption that have been leveled against him. And when you look at the technicalities of the issue, Ofobi, how do anyone raise allegations towards the general manager of your media group here, and you are asked to investigate your general manager? After your findings, if you are supposed to find any illegality on the part of your general manager, do you think you are going to keep your job after the next day?
Certainly not.
It doesn't happen in any
that
society.
Would even affect your judgment, because then that is where you earn your living. So you'll be influenced some way, somehow.
Obviously. And there's no sound conclusion that you can come to because you feel mandated to please your boss. So that is a simple conversation that lawyer Martin Kpebu was putting out there.
And even for me, I believe that even if that person was going to be, more deliberate and more certain, and will not even try and then influence any decision based on any conflict of interest, I believe that there was a sheer availability of conflict of interest.
Obviously.
And as a matter of fact, if it was certain that you are investigating me and I feel this person belongs to whoever we are investigating, that the person should not be part of the panel, I have every right to take the person off. And so I know he raised that concern. We're expecting that we'll see a different panel over there, but that didn't happen.
So for me, that is how unpleasant his engagement with the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been. He put it out there clearly that after his first meeting, the kind of people you leveled to meet him are not the high-profile people who can investigate their boss. Like the Chief of Staff of the Office of the Special Prosecutor cannot be investigating his boss and cannot be interrogating him for information to investigate his boss on. So as a matter of fact, fortunately for us, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has its own board of governors. If for nothing at all, this board of governors could intervene and gather these evidences on themselves. I mean, beyond this point, there's a common legal phrase that they say, "Numo judice in causa sua." You cannot be the judge in your own case. That's the Office of the Special Prosecutor, which has been charged according to the Act 2017-959 of the Office of Special Prosecutor, is mandated to investigate cases of corruption alone. Amongst other people. Now, if there's an allegation of corruption internally, do you have that repertoire to investigate the matter yourself? Especially when it has to deal with the chief servant of the office, in the person of the Special Prosecutor himself. Whereas there are other state agencies that are responsible for such investigations, and the referral can be made to these state agencies to carry on with the investigation. That you, the Chief of Staff, who is serving under the leadership of the Special Prosecutor, is interrogating somebody who is accusing your boss to take further action on that.
How is that even possible?
It's a clear act of non-seriousness. So if lawyer Martin Luther Kpebu is making submissions in this manner, it's very sound to the average Ghanaian, and it doesn't make sense the posture that the Office of the Special Prosecutor had taken.
All right, thank you. Let me come to you quickly. So, look, a lot of Ghanaians are believing that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been too aggressive when it comes to meting out its duties and responsibilities. Yes. And in the end, we have not seen anything come out of it. Yeah. Right? Yes. The others will also believe that is just how they were set up to do. Yes. I don't think so. Now, how do we draw the thin line between obstruction and then exercising, your shared duty or your shared right as like giving out your freedom of speech, speaking to certain issues? Because we understand he was arrested just on the line of the belief that he was obstructing their duties in their office. Yes. But Martin Kpebu claims that he was exercising his right by granting an interview. How do we draw that thin line between the obstruction of their duties up against the background that people believe that, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been too aggressive with issues?
To be frank, when this matter came up, I sought to look at the facts from both views. And in so doing, I came to discover, in fact, I've heard a witness from the side of the Office of the Special Prosecutor claiming that the first act of aggression was exhibited by lawyer Martin Kpebu.
And how did that happen?
Of course, the circumstances surrounding it is not too clear. But as far as the witness is concerned, a witness who claims she saw the act pan out from start to end. It was lawyer Martin Kpebu who began the act of aggression. But that is the word of that witness against whoever. But even if we were to assume that the witness and the statements that she put out, as far as the matter is concerned, is not even accurate. Let's even take the argument that lawyer Martin Kpebu was making. I was wondering for starters that at the particular material point in time, what legal duty was the security person on duty performing at that time? And that's my question. Because if lawyer Martin Kpebu is being accused of obstructing a public officer from performing a duty, then
what is that
what
duty?
That duty is.
And here's the case that we are unable to even determine which security agency was performing that duty.
Exactly. And as far as lawyer Martin Kpebu is concerned, it was a soldier man,
so this clearly tells us that a lot is really going wrong.
But
at the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Yes, but there is
there are a lot of inconsistencies.
Yes, and there is a point I want to build.
Go ahead.
The office, the lawyer says that he's been charged for obstructing the public office. And my question is that what was the duty that the officer was performing? As far as I know, we don't seem to know what the duty is. But let's even assume without admitting that there is a duty for purposes of argument.
Okay.
I have come across legal cases that says that for a case of obstruction of a public officer to succeed, the duty that was being performed must be a legal duty.
But was that a legal duty?
Of course. Was that a legal duty is the question. Was the duty that the officer, as we are told, was performing at the time, a duty that he was mandated to perform, prevents the lawyer from granting an interview? And frankly, the fact that he even, according to lawyer Martin Kpebu, assaulted him as a lawyer verbally through insults, that one alone vitiates the legality of the performance of that duty. Because lawyer Martin Kpebu can come on the back of provocation and say he was provoked, for which reason he decided to also go. And the Constitution allows for us to be able to protect our rights even by illegal means. It's in the Constitution. Insofar as it is an act that is going to protect your rights so enshrined in the Constitution, then you have the right so to do. You get it? So I believe that all of these issues are really having to put a feather in the cap of those who are saying the office must be scrapped in the first place. Because if for instance, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is going to take the matter to court or prosecute lawyer Martin Kpebu for obstruction of public officer or the performance of a duty by a public officer, I frankly would find it very fascinating. Any judgment that will find lawyer Martin Kpebu on the wrong side of the law.
Okay.
And if so, then it means that those who are saying that the office is not actually living up to its mandate would have.
That's fine. Now, so let me quickly come to you. Did we make a mistake by institutionalizing the office of the special prosecutor as a country?
Let me quickly take a bite.
Okay.
The issue of the arrest and what have you. And I also listened to the witness, claiming witness who was at the premises of the office of the special prosecutor. In the case, when you looked at the footage in the interview with Martin Kpebu, he was moving them away from the premises.
He was even at some point
from the OSP. They moved to the ECG.
Yeah.
And when you look at the video, as of when the interview ended, as of when he was walking back to the OSP, he was walking alone. And one would simply, out of logic, would question that. How would Martin Kpebu now go and attack a security officer when he's just going back to meet the chief of staff for his meeting? What would warrant that he goes to engage? So indeed, it makes a lot of sense when Martin Kpebu, in his claims, mentioned that it was the security officers there who started telling him that the next time they are not going to allow him park his vehicle there, and it's a privilege they've extended to him and what have you. And that eventually another military officer came to question him and say,
but how is it a privilege that if I've been invited to come help
assist to you in an investigation, not under arrest?
How is it even a privilege that I park my car and then you tell me it's a privilege?
And that next time you're not going to make him do that.
That is why I find it a bit troubling.
You call him stupid and he retaliates. In any case, even if he has started the altercation and started insulting you, you are not dispatching any duty over there. I mean, it is important to know that Act 959 of 2017, the Special Prosecutors Act, gives them a bit of arresting powers, powers of search and detention and what have you, such that this power is relative to their work in line of duty, such that whenever they are taking charge of the corruption-related activities,
and they
can exercise that duty.
So not in this case.
In your compound, what kind of duty are you exercising to warrant that you arrest? I mean, it is very funny that the arrest came on the back of Kpebu's entrance to the premise, and when he asked another police officer who was searching them there that indeed he wants to make a report against the staff at the gate.
Yeah.
And when he went up to the chief of staff, he also mentioned that he wants to make a case and a report against.
So how is it that I make a report and then
just after that they come and tell him that they are arresting him for that purpose? And that illegality with the arrest is premised on the same act that establishes them. That is only in line with your work when you are investigating or
and in this case, he was not arrested in line with
their duty. You've called somebody to assist you in investigating your principal officer, and in line of that, an altercation happens, quote and unquote, a charge for obstruction of justice, which is not in line with any corruption-related activity.
Is there any conflict of interest in this case? Because it kind of looks as though there's a conflict of interest.
Your superintendent is being investigated. Somebody who has been breathing down your neck for years comes into your auspices, and you find one or two deaths. You exercise your power on the person. Now let me go to the substantive.
Did we make a mistake?
Let me go to the substantive matter. Personally, from where I sit, I sit with Honorable Haruna Idrisu when he made that statement in 2017 in Parliament, that for people who have involved themselves and soiled themselves, embezzled state resources and what have you, they must be punished and the funds must be retrieved any way possible. So if there's any office, IOCO, NIB, National Security, National Signals Bureau, the Office of the Attorney General, the Police CID, that is investigating persons who have involved themselves in acts of corruption, anybody in this part of this country will substantiate the argument that indeed that office should be empowered to do its work. Same with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So beyond the arguments that even Mahama Yariga raised in Parliament, even when his senior then, the minority leader, mentioned that indeed, if this is the core mandate of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, then he subjects himself to it, and he's going to whip his people in line. Mahama Yariga was insistent that it is a clear breach of Article 88 and what have you of this 1992 Constitution, and as such, we shouldn't watch it come to light. But they made it go. I mean, the activity since 2017 has been very clear. Martin Amidu came out and made us understand that the office has just been a charade, it's a facade, that the people who are in power are obstructing the activities of this office to the extent that he called the former president, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, like an innocent, he described him as an innocent looking flower of anti-corruption, but indeed a mother serpent of corruption. That was post the royalties, the Ejapa royalties, when he was asked to quit investigations in the Ejapa royalties deal. That was when he says he had a divine revelation that indeed all of these people who are seemingly like innocent flowers of anti-corruption is a mother serpent of corruption. So it should tell you that we have institutionalized an office to do a particular mandate, but intentionally we are crippling the activity of this office. And it is evident again in the words of Kissie Jabi himself, when he mentioned on KSM show that he felt that his cousin was in power, his cousin was president, and he had given him the ultimate clearance to elope the shores of our country, and as such, he couldn't take action into the case. What country are we building? That we set up an office, and the office is not functional. And the principal officers who are supposed to lead the charge in these offices are even reluctant because they feel the political will is not there, and the political architecture is against them. Then we are back to square zero. So if it is on that premise, and from the precedents, the issues, the antecedents that this Office of the Special Prosecutor has given us, it is a clear zero, and that is it's a bogus office.
So I'll come back to you, then we wrap up. In wrapping up, what are the implications of these issues? It looks as though there would definitely be implications. And I want us to look at what the implication this very particular matter has on one, press freedom, because in this case, there was a little bit of press interrogations, press engagement happening there. And one can liken it to it. People outside of this country would see the essence of speaking up when it comes to press freedom. Because how then must somebody grant an interview to the press and it becomes an issue for state actors to go against him? And then again, we will look at the implication on state institutions' performance or government institution and how they perform their duties. Quickly, let's look at that.
A bit about its implication on press freedom. I think that associated or accompanying the freedom of speech is the duty to responsible speech exercising. And so I believe that if the Office of the Special Prosecutor, in its own wisdom and in the wisdom of the 1992 Constitution, is going to designate its premises as a premises where media engagement, photography, and some public engagements are not going to be allowed, then frankly, it should go ahead and explicitly
explain that.
Known.
Okay.
Do you get it?
But I believe that in that. Sorry that I had to come to, but I believe that at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, there must be a center, an area for media engagement, because you are mandated to handle state issues, issues of national interest. So definitely, you must have an area where you can have presses. And we've seen him in presses. So how is it difficult for them to even allow this to happen?
Frankly, that's the interesting bit, and more reason why I think that, of course, there are places, there are public institutions whose premises
you don't do that. We appreciate that.
So if you see, I just want to make the point that to the extent that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been given the legal mandate to perform that duty, and in the performance of that duty, it believes that engagement around its office is going to make that performance a little bit difficult, then it should just make it known so that people don't go out of the 1992 Constitution, which grants, as you are saying, freedom of speech to everybody. In exercising of that, they grant interviews to media houses, and then out of nowhere, the office comes out and says, "Oh no, no, we don't do that here," and then finds him or her guilty.
All right, Nazo, quickly, let's look at the implication this has on criticizing government institutions in Ghana, because if we are going to criticize our state actors and we'll get arrested, definitely people will just relax and there will be that culture of silence. And that culture is also not good for a country like Ghana, especially looking at the fact that we are looking to build our nation. What are some of the implications?
Robbie, freedom of speech is very important.
Exactly.
But freedom after speech cannot be guaranteed. In the words of Idi Amin Dada, such that we are at liberty to make number of statements and comments about whatever we are doing. I mean, in recent times, you saw the public outcry with the cybersecurity bill.
Certainly.
And the president also stated emphatically that people who hide behind their devices in their homes, in corners, and think that they can put out hate speech and uninformed positions, misinformations and disinformation can hide. Now the state has the level of sophistication to come after you in whatever corner that you are. So it's very important that freedom of speech is well guaranteed.
Okay.
But within what remits are we putting out that speech? It is commonly said that where your right ends is where someone's right also begins. So we must be very calculated in the kind of things we see. I mean, in recent times, you've seen a lot of people being put before the courts of our country, having put out things that are misinforming the public, things that are not right, things that are promoting hate speech. And we have seen what has happened in other parts of our country. We've seen what these kind of speeches did in Rwanda, the genocide that happened. We've seen a lot of ills happen in society based on the kind of commentary that people are putting out there. So it is very important that the conversations that we are having is well regulated, but not regulated in the scheme that a culture of silence is being imposed on our society. So I would entreat people that in as much as state agencies inherently have that bit of excessive force, that taste to abuse their power, that is why that as many people in society, we are trained that anytime somebody has a case against the state, the state has enough sophistication to suppress the will of that private individual. So many people must rally behind that individual to support the person fight the state machinery. It is in that same vein that whatever we are also putting out there must be very calculated such that we are not infringing on the common rights of other individuals and also disdaining people's reputation and what have you. So I believe that these state institutions will continue to exert that strong force to protect their own rank and file. But it's also important that whatever we are saying is backed by evidence. We are making sound allegations and we are not impeding on the simple rights of other people.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for those concerns you've raised. And I must appreciate you that all that you've said on the show today would go a long way to help policymakers. We just hope and pray that going forward, we don't see these things happening, because clearly it is an issue of power dynamics and accountability in the country. That's clearly how it is right now. And thank you so much for your concern, Nazil. And hopefully we'll follow this story. And if anything comes up, we'll come back to the studio and we'll discuss it. Same as you. Yes. So we're really, really grateful. Yes, so this is where we draw the curtains down on today's episode of the National Agenda. And we've heard it all from my guest in the studio. It's simply an issue of power dynamics and accountability. We hope and pray that our freedom as citizens to question state actors will not be taken from us. Just as we believe that we have the freedom of speech, let's also be reminded that we may not have the freedom after speech, especially if we know that what we said during our speech was bad and did not have any evidence. So this is a clarion call I'm making to all Ghanaians out there. We are going to follow this story keenly, and if anything comes up, we'll come back again. We'll take our seats and we'll discuss it. Now, once again, let's get interactive on our social media handles. We are on YouTube, The National Agenda. Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular issue. And like I always say, one of these days, your story or whatever you say over there will be aired on the show. My name still remains Samuel Fobi Banfa, and this is The National Agenda. I'll see you again in another episode.